Alright, here on this front end, what I was stressing in my last video, when I seen this transaxle, I immediately thought, since this was the single swing arm instead of the double axle with 5-bolt drums, I assumed that it would take a kingpin front end. But the more I walked by it sitting here and walked by my old buggy frame sitting outside, I realized that this took the other front end. The newer front end with the 4-bolt drums, 4-bolt lug pattern drums. Then I come to find out that there was a year. Now, the local Volkswagen guy here that got a big shop, sells everything to everybody around here. Machine works, builds engines, sells brand new front ends. Been doing this for years. Tells me that some 67s and 68s had this older style transaxle, but had the newer ball joint front end. But they still had 5-bolt drums like the back. He says, now I bought a front end, I don't have it home yet. I bought a front end and it's the wider bolt pattern, will bolt right in here. I think it's actually the one to come out of this car, because I'm buying it from the same guy that cut this in half and started to make a trike out of it. But that front end has 4-bolt drums. Now, the guy at the Volkswagen shop's telling me if I want to put 5-bolt drums on the ball joint front end, I have to go with a 68 drum that'll fit on the spindles on the ball joint front end, but have the 5-bolt lug pattern like this. Now I know they made only 2 different front ends, and I have a car right here. I don't know if we can see down in here or not. No, it's too dark. But this has the double axles, and it has 4-bolt wheels with Chevy wheel adapters on it, and it has the ball joint front end. Where my buggy outside that I've had for 48 years has the kingpin front end, which I was going to put in this till I seen it was bad and that it would not bolt in that. Now, like I say, I ran buggies for years when I was younger. I repaired them, I rebuilt motors, I changed motors. I built buggies, I sold buggies, all my neighbors had buggies. I got 20 acres of property, we had trails everywhere. I had a whole Volkswagen repair shop, I changed motors for people and stuff. But I'm 68 years old now, and after buggies I went to 4-wheel drive trucks, and then I give it all up and went to backhoes, skid steers, and things that made more money. And main reason I'm messing with that old pan outside is because I bought it in 1974 and I had it all these years. I don't know how it's going to fit on this pan once I cut the bars off. But as you can see, I did get a new set. That car over there needed new mounts. So I bought the whole strap down mount kit. What is it? EMPI. I bought the whole kit, and I mean, it already had the back mount on it I needed. So I bought the kit, and I'm putting the straps on here. I'm putting the mounts in that. That's a Sebring. And like I say, that's all 4-bolt. Now I could have left the 4-bolt front hubs on that. I have adapters I have adapters that go from 5 lug to 4 lug. You know, I could put them on there and go to 4 lug and leave the 4 lug on the front. But I was trying to keep this correct to the year my buggy was outside, which it was a 64 or 65. But apparently I'm not going to cut this pan apart. I'm going to go with the ball joint front end, even though I really didn't want to. This pan's in too nice shape other than me needing to weld it back together. It's in really nice shape for its age. I don't know if I'm going to use that motor or not. My buggy always had the TP headers. I actually got a TP header for it. New steering column. This one here, we're just starting to... I bought a big bore kit and a set of heads, but here the heads weren't cut out for the big bore kit. So I had to stick one of the old ones on there that was no good to hold that together till I got the right heads. But I don't know, maybe I am wrong, but if the guy around me that sells the drums I need wants to say they're 68, and that's the only year it'll fit on the spindles of the ball joint front end, I'm not going to argue with him. I'm just going to buy the drums I need and have it over with. That, or I could buy an adapter plate to go from 4 to 5. But I'd rather just have the drums and get it over with. Now, I see the one Smith, Bram Smith, I don't know how you pronounce that. But obviously you know your Volkswagens. I might not be correct. It's been 40 years since I played with Volkswagens. So I forgot a lot. But like I say, I'm going to weld this back together. I'm going to put the kingpin front end in, change the wheels over to 5-bolt, put these wheels on the front, buy a wide set for the back. I don't know if they'll match that or what, but I got to get a wide set for the back. And it's not going to be period correct. It's going to have the wrong front end in it compared to what it used to have. Same transaxle. Now this setup's a little different than mine because it was older. Mine must have been a 63 or 64 or something. I don't know, but I got to make it work with what I got. I'm not going to go out and hunt for another pan. This one's too nice. So I'm going to weld that center together, tack it on the ends here till I see how my bars will fit over it. When I get, I'll have the front end in it by then. I'm going to start out with the 4-bolt wheels just so I can roll it around, but I'm going to go to the newer drums. The 68 drums with the 5-bolt wheel. And like I say, whether them years are wrong or not, I don't know. You know, I don't want to argue that point. You know, if somebody knows and they're right, they're right. All I want's 5-bolt wheels the whole way around. And I wish I had the kingpin front end. Now I know everybody likes the other axles with the double U joints. I don't know. I never cared for them. I always run this style. I like this style. I had a lot of buggies with that style. Like I say, the one up there, and I even have in this pile you can't see. Here, right here, you see. I have. Wish I had a light. Anyway, that's a Super Beetle front end, and I have 2 axles laying there with the double U joints that were extras that we didn't use, that I got in some parts. But like I said, I just want my lug pattern all to be the wide 5-bolt. Now back in the day, I have Chevy wheels on that buggy now. We just drilled the drums and pressed in lug nuts and drilled the Chevy pattern right in the Volkswagen drum and didn't use adapters. And I kind of just want to go back to the 5-bolt original, the way it was. I might be wrong on some of them years off a little bit. Like I said, this guy I talked to on the phone today, he was racking off stuff about Volkswagen. This guy knew his stuff. All I can say. He knew way more than me. I don't know what everybody knows here. Everybody talks seems to know what they're saying. But all I want to do is put this kingpin front end in I bought and have the 5-bolt drums. And if that man hands me a set of drums that'll fit on that spindles on that ball joint front end that have 5 bolts and they work. I don't care what year they are as long as they work. And I can put these back wheels on the front and put a bigger set on the back. Like I say, I'm not 100% sure years. I was totally confused. I thought when they changed the front end over to kingpin, they changed the back end over to the double axles that same year, but apparently they didn't. They changed the front and they ran the old style transaxle for a year and a half. He's saying half of 67 and 68 were like this here, and this was probably a 68. I don't know. I don't really care. As long as I get the front end in there I need with the 5-bolt wheels, I'm happy. This is an inch shorter than my buggy out there, so I got to cut a little bit out. And I know they make nicer buggies and nicer frames. And I got enough money I could go buy any frame I want to put on this Volkswagen. But since that one sits dark, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. But since that one I bought in 1974 is the one I want to build, it's going to be on this pan. You know, like I say, I could go buy any buggy frame I wanted. They're out there. But that's not what I'm out to do. I'm out to restore my old buggy that I had originally, is my plan. The old one I made a video of outside. Yeah, it's a mess. Kind of funny looking. But I had that before I had my kids. So that's the reason why. This must be a 60. I thought this was a 68. No, I don't know. Did some 68s have this double axles and the kingpin front end? Apparently, I don't know. I don't know. This is titled a 68. It's a Sebring. The only thing I found odd about it, it was built in Illinois, not California. It's number 223. When you look at the Sebrings made in California, the serial number is like 6 digits. This car sat in a barn for 40 years. That paint job's 40 years old. We've changed it all over to disc brakes. We found out the motor was blowed up, so I'm in the process of rebuilding it. And we ran into problems. I bought the heads and jugs off a guy that said the heads were cut out. Here they weren't, so my parts are laying all over the place here. I got half the big bore kit on before I found out the heads was wrong. I took his word instead of checking them, and they come back and bit me. We had this motor all in and everything with a new flywheel, clutch, pressure plate. Got it running, and here it had no compression in one cylinder. Had 149 pounds on 1 and 2. Had, I think, 90 pounds on 3, and none on 4. So we tore it apart and found 2 cracked jugs. Now, I don't know if it's true, but the side that had the cracked jugs was missing this piece right here, which is supposed to divert your heat, your air, cooling air blowing down, bounce off of this and go back up and cool the bottom of your jugs. Now, is it just a coincidence that the side that was missing this had the cracked jugs? I don't know, but I bought one to put on there anyway, so both sides will have it when I'm done. Like I say, I'm learning all over again. I was 19 years old when I bought my first buggy, and I ran it from 74 to 80. And then I went to Chevy trucks. And then I learned how to operate a backhoe, and next thing you know, I was running backhoes, tow trucks, skid steers. Made a lot more money doing that than wrenching on Volkswagens, especially where I live here in Pennsylvania. And I'm learning over again. I built a lot of motors. A lot of Chevy motors, all kind of motors. I've been a repairman my whole life. In the mill, I worked in a glass factory. I was a repairman there. I worked construction. I was the fleet mechanic for all their trucks. I worked on the township here. I was a fleet mechanic on all their trucks and brake jobs and stuff on the police cars. So I've been working on cars my whole life. And like, oh, I can't remember your name. I know your last name's Smith. I'm sorry, I forgot your first name. Brandon? I don't know how you pronounce it. But anyway, you seem to know what you're talking about. You showed me the different front ends there. And like I said, I'm just learning again, but I see now all I gotta do is I bought the front end. I bought a front end the other day for $40. Had everything but the steering box and tie rod ends on it, which I thought my steering box off of that Kingpin wouldn't fit, but the guy said it would, so we'll find out. I gotta go get that front end hopefully tomorrow and get it bolted in there, get that welded together. But hey, I'll keep track of my progress on that and this. I'm working on that, I'm working on this, I'm working on this. This truck belonged to my brother-in-law who passed in 2019, I believe it was. So I'm kind of redoing that truck just for a local driver. I got a big four-wheel drive sitting out front with about 12 inches of lift in it that I'm redoing. So I got what, 1, 2, 3, 4 projects going on here. Plus trying to keep up with all my cutting and brush hogging at 20 acres of property. So it's going kind of slow, but like I say, as we go along here, it should get better. I'm happy for any information anybody can give me. I'm not trying to argue with anybody on what they're saying. I'm just trying to explain what I got and what I need. Oh, where's light? Come on. Come on, Miles. Bedtime, buddy. Come on. Like I said, I'm not trying to disagree with anybody or think I know more than anybody else. Come on, Miles. This is just a learning experience for me. Last few years, I haven't been working on much of anything except for firearms. I've worked on firearms for the last 30 years of my life too, so like I say, I've been fixing one thing or another my whole life. I built my house pretty much myself. As you can see, I'm into the old toys. And all strut covers. Well, like I say, any information I can get, I'm happy about. So, like I say, I'm not complaining. But, you know, I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just trying to learn what to do here. Any information is helpful. So, hey, keep giving it to me. Thank you. Have a good evening, everybody.